The courtroom was suffocating with silence. Every eye was locked onto the woman standing tall at the front, her presence commanding attention despite the storm that brewed beneath her composed exterior. Dressed in a sleek black suit, she exuded confidence, yet there was an intensity in her gaze, a quiet, unshakable force. The weight of 1,000 stares bore down on her, each one filled with anticipation, curiosity, and fear. In her grasp, a manila envelope, her last card to play. The tension in the air was electric, a silent promise that something monumental was about to unfold. Sienna Monroe took a deep breath, steadying herself. The battle for justice had led her here, and she had no intention of backing down now. This wasn't just about the murder of her closest friend, Elijah Carter. This was about something much larger, the insidious rot that festered in the very system sworn to protect. It was about power, deception, and the unyielding weight of betrayal. She had spent the last few months unraveling a tangled web of lies, only to find that the corruption ran deeper than she had ever imagined. The case had been open and shut, or so the authorities claimed. Elijah's death was labeled a robbery gone wrong, a tragic but random act of violence. Yet, from the moment Sienna saw the crime scene photos, something felt off. Elijah had confided in her weeks before his death, speaking in hushed, cautious tones about something he had uncovered. A conspiracy, he had called it. He had been afraid, but Sienna never imagined that fear would turn into reality. Then she found the recording. It had been hidden in the most unassuming place, his old cell phone, tucked away in a drawer in his apartment. A single audio file that made her blood run cold. I'm not just dealing with a bad cop. This goes deeper. The whole department is involved. If anything happens to me, go after Detective Holloway. He's the puppet master. That moment changed everything. The weight of it pressed against her, a relentless force she couldn't ignore. It wasn't just about Elijah anymore. It was about every innocent life that had been swallowed by a system designed to protect the powerful. She had spent sleepless nights piecing together evidence, chasing leads that only led her further down a dark and dangerous path. And now, she was here, standing in the very courtroom that had sought to silence her. Her eyes flickered toward the defense table, where Detective Holloway sat with a smirk, exuding a confidence that made her stomach turn. Beside him, her own attorney, Marcus Reed, sat in eerie stillness. A sickening realization had hit her days before. The man she had trusted to defend her had been working against her all along. Betrayal like that left a scar deeper than any physical wound. Sienna had always known the risks of pushing too hard against the system, but she had never imagined the enemy would be so close. The very people sworn to defend the law were the ones who had twisted it for their own gain. But she wouldn't let fear dictate her actions. Not now, not ever. She stepped forward, her fingers tightening around the envelope. "Your Honor," her voice rang out, unwavering despite the turmoil within. "I present the truth." Gasps rippled through the courtroom as she pulled out a stack of documents, followed by a USB drive. The prosecutor's face paled. Detective Holloway shifted in his seat, his composure faltering for the first time. The judge leaned forward, interest piqued. "This," she continued, "is proof that Elijah Carter was murdered for what he uncovered, a network of corruption that runs through this very police department. This recording," she held up the USB drive, "is his final testimony, a warning that cost him his life." The air grew thick with disbelief, whispers escalating into murmurs. The jury leaned in, their expressions a mix of horror and realization. The court reporter hesitated, fingers trembling over the keys. The damning evidence continued to pour forth. Security footage showing Detective Holloway leaving the scene of an unsolved murder. Bank records linking him to bribes. Testimonies from officers who had been too afraid to speak until now. And then, the final blow. A document signed by none other than Marcus Reed, detailing a deal to ensure Sienna was discredited if she ever got too close to the truth. Marcus went rigid, his mask of professionalism cracking under the weight of exposure. He had been playing both sides, ensuring she never made it to this moment, but he had underestimated her. They all had. The explosion came swiftly. The courtroom erupted in chaos, shouts, gasps, the clatter of a judge's gavel desperately trying to restore order. Officers moved in, their expressions shifting from doubt to grim understanding. The walls that had once protected men like Holloway were crumbling, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. A pair of officers approached Holloway, their hesitation brief before they reached for the cuffs at their belts. For the first time, true fear flickered across his face. Sienna stood still, watching as the man who had orchestrated so much pain was finally forced to face the consequences of his actions. Yet the victory felt hollow. Justice had been served, but at what cost? Elijah was still gone. The system was wounded, but not broken. There would always be another battle, another fight for the truth. As the courtroom buzzed with the aftermath, Sienna stepped outside, the cool air grounding her. She closed her eyes for a moment, the weight of it all settling deep in her chest. "Elijah," she whispered, a bittersweet smile ghosting her lips. "I did it." And yet she knew this was only the beginning. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Soul Stories. Let's reach 1,000 subscribers together and continue sharing stories that inspire change and celebrate resilience. We'll see you in the next chapter of empowerment.